I 100% completed the Super Mario Bros. Wonder demo in Target, and here's what I thought. So, I was online yesterday, and I saw GameXplain posted a video about Mario Wonder being at Target. So, I did what any normal person would do. I called my Target and asked if they had a kiosk in the back.
Yes, do you have the Mario game? Yes, the Mario game? The new one with the Wonder Flower? Okay, I'll be right there.
And they did. So I got dressed and rode my bike all the way to Target. It was there, right in front of me, Mario Wonder 2 weeks early. So I looked down below, and I wasn't expecting them to have a Switch Pro controller there. But geez, was I pleasantly surprised. So I picked up the controller and I started playing the game, and the first thing that stood out to me was the controls. Now, if you've played the new Super Mario Bros. Games, you know how floaty the physics are. That is no longer the case. Mario Wonder really has the physics down point, and the physics are better than any Mario game I've ever played. Now, in the first level, you've already got the parachute cap, which to me felt a little lame. Like, sure, you can get some extra airtime by pulling out the parachute cap, but at the same time, coming off of New Super Mario Bros. U, it's just not as intuitive as the flying squirrel. The second badge that's already obtained in the demo is the floating high jump, which I feel was extremely broken. So much so that it makes the other badges in the demo seem like a complete joke. The third badge was the crouching high jump, which if you've played Super Mario Bros. 2, you already know what the crouching high jump is. It's basically you crouch for a little bit and then you charge up a really high jump. But with the advent of the floating high jump badge, nobody's ever going to use this. Now, there were a couple support badges like getting more coins when you defeat enemies or starting the level off with a super mushroom. Those ones seem a little less important to me because in all honesty, they're really less powerful than any other badge in the game, and you'd be better off just using the floating high jump, which is probably the best badge in the game, but I digress. The elephant power-up I thought was a very good idea. You can hit enemies with your trunk by pressing the Y button, as well as breaking normal objects. I thought it was cool and interesting that the elephant power-up could pick up water and release it out of the trunk, but what I didn't like is that the water doesn't actually damage Goombas. Because you see, you can use the water to get extra coins by making flowers on the ground, but you can't damage the enemies with it. And it's mapped to the same button that you do your trunk attacks with, which makes the power-up, I feel, a little less intuitive than it could have been without the whole water gimmick. But I can see a lot of potential use cases in terms of puzzle design with this one, and it honestly stands out as a part of the demo. The fire flower I have no real opinions about. I think it might have been better if they just didn't have it in the game, but you know, it's cool it's there. I mean, you know, it's hard to imagine a Mario game without the fire flower, but at the same time, I think in Mario Wonder, it just drags down the quality of the game as a whole and is really unnecessary for this game. So I felt the Wonder Seed in the first level was a bit underwhelming because in the first level, it was the one with the pipes, and there's only really one secret pipe that you can actually go through, but it only really gave me a couple extra coins. So once you beat the first level, you're able to pull up the start menu. And in the start menu, I've noticed a couple things. First of all, this game has plenty of playable characters, and 2 of them I'll touch on later, and they all pretty much play exactly the same, except a couple few. Another thing that's noticed in the start menu, which I feel is very important, is the level tab. And what does this level tab tell you? Well, it marks how many Wonder Seeds you've got, how many 10 coins you've got, and how many checkpoint flags you've hit the top of. So with Wonder Seeds, you usually get around 2 per level, and one of them you get for free by beating the level, and another you get by obtaining the Wonder Flower in every level, and then finding the Wonder Seed at the end. And from my experience, I find that these Wonder Seeds aren't really that hard to get, but what I think is going to be the hardest to find is the 10 coins, since the 10 coins are really well hidden and more similar to star coins. You have around 3 10 coins per level on average, and that's where I think the meat of the game is going to be, which is finding these 10 coins in the levels. And I think it's kind of annoying that you have to hit the top of the flag in every level, but you know, it does add a nice, fresh replayability to the levels, which weren't in the new Super Mario Bros. Games. So now that there's a lot to look out for in Super Mario Wonder in terms of collectibles. I made my way to the second area of the demo, which was this sand area. I started playing this underground level. Now in this stage, you're introduced to the drill power-up. The drill power-up I have a little mixed opinions about. I found it a little hard to kill enemies with the drill power-up, but the power-up the level was introduced in really showed that this power-up had a lot of potential going forward. And within this underground level, there was this Wonder Seed. This Wonder Seed was probably one of the best in the demo. So you get this Wonder Seed, and then all of a sudden, this giant thwomp comes out of nowhere. And you have to like go down underneath these blocks to prevent yourself from getting crushed. And there's all these like crystal blocks everywhere. And you have to make sure you get down to the end of the level without getting crushed by this giant thwomp. And I thought that was really, really cool. But the drill power-up was very intuitive and very simple. It was like the drill from Mario Galaxy, but if it was better and more intuitive. So the next level I went to had these rhino enemies, and I thought this level was very well designed because your first impression when you're going through the level is you're supposed to kill the enemies. But in this level, you're supposed to actually guide the rhinos to break these blocks all over the level. And honestly, it was very satisfying bringing down these tree platforms with ground pounds and allowing these rhinos to break me into secret areas that weren't possible with the normal moveset. So in this level, there was a Wonder Seed, as well as every level in the demo. So it seems like every level in this game gets their own Wonder Seed effect that's exclusive to that level. Within the Rhinoceros level though, you have this stampede of rhinos. And once you ride the rhinos, you're able to get to the secret area past the flagpole, and you're able to pick up a Wonder Seed, which allows you to get to this other flagpole that basically is the secret flag from New Super Mario Bros. But this flagpole doesn't give you the Wonder Seed that you would get by normally beating the level, which forces you to replay the level over again and using a separate path, which I thought was very refreshing to see in a Mario level. Now, after I beat that one, this kid was in Target, and he wanted to play the demo with me. And I was like, of course, of course, of course. So I was playing with this, it was an 8-year-old Chinese kid, and we were just having so much fun playing through this demo. But since I got to check out the multiplayer aspect of the game, I have some comments about the multiplayer. Thank God Nintendo made it to where, 1, you're not able to pick up your teammates, and 2, you're not able to run into your teammates. Because there would have been a lot of situations within my play session where, I'm gonna say this very calmly, I would have died. But every time your teammate dies in the multiplayer mode, what I noticed was, yes, the ghost is very forgiving, and you don't lose a life unless every teammate dies at the exact same time. Which brings me into my number one criticism of the Wonder demo, the fact that there's lives. Now, I know the 1-ups are very iconic within gaming history in general. It just feels weird to have a Mario game without lives, but I'm gonna be real with you. Nobody's gonna notice when lives are completely stripped out of the game if they were to go that route. And the difficulty of this game is very comparable to New Super Mario Bros. U. It's not very difficult, and if you get a game over, you're getting a game over on purpose, or you're a small child. Either or. But I feel lives in Mario games are really just not appropriate at this stage in game development, because Mario Odyssey didn't have lives, and it was a much better game for that. So next I played the special level where you get the wall climb jump, and I was doing this with multiplayer, playing with an 8-year-old, so it was a little hard to get through. Until I carried him, but that's besides the point. It was very easy for me, but I feel for a younger audience, maybe these challenge levels will actually be a little hard. If you're playing this with a small child, maybe stray away from the challenge levels, but I digress. Now, if I were talking in terms of meta, the wall climb jump is very, situational. Like, if you have a very vertical level, I think it would be very good, but the floating high jump really just outclasses every badge in the demo. So once I got past the challenge level, I went to the final level of the demo. The Wonder Flower in this level, I thought was the standout from the demo, which was the shooting stars. And you have these stars coming down diagonally from the top of the stage. You're basically rainbow sprinting through the entire rest of the level. It's just so satisfying, and you're like dashing through all these enemies. It's just so fun. This game really just surprises you with all these level gimmicks and wonder flowers. Here's where I'm gonna get into the easy aspect of the game, which is Yoshi and Nabbit I have very mixed opinions about these two characters, because on one hand, I love their character designs, and I think they're very cool to have within the whole cast of the game, but at the same time, making them completely invincible really just undermines the game design as a whole. But even if they had this option to make Yoshi and Nabbit invincible, I think it should have been optional, but make it be a mode. Make it be an easy mode. Let fans choose what characters they want to play as, on what difficulty they want to play with. There is no reason in 2023 where we shouldn't be able to have that as an option. The demo was good. I'm very content with the direction that the Super Mario Bros. Series is